Imagine you're a business owner relying on a dozen different software programs. Each one is expensive, overly complicated, and worst of all, none of them are connected. It can be incredibly stressful, right? Now, picture Odoo. CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and more. Odoo brings all the tools your business needs into one simple platform, and all seamlessly connected. Everything works together, giving you the peace of mind that your business is running smoothly from every angle. Odoo's open-source applications are user-friendly and designed to scale with your business, saving you time and money. Say goodbye to juggling multiple platforms and hello to efficient integrated management. Stop wasting resources on complicated systems and make the switch to Odoo today. Visit odoo.com, ODOO.com, and discover how Odoo can simplify and streamline your business operations. Odoo, modern management made simple.
When you need to send the perfect rose bouquet, only one brand can say they've been the floral authority for 50 years. 1-800-Flowers. Why should you trust 1-800-Flowers? They hand-select every stem to ensure top quality. And with nationwide delivery, smiles and satisfaction are 100% guaranteed. And right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses, we'll double it at no extra cost. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Order today at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
Talal Shah, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Hi, Marcus. Many thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. You are the co-founder and CEO of Total Sports and Legends Arena. So can you tell us a little bit about your role in this company?
Yeah, so the Total Sports is basically a facility management company under which the brand Legends Arena exists. It started as an idea which we had conceived long time ago about opening a high-end sports facilities, which is on a non-membership base. And the concept of Legends Arena arrived, in which we had concepted a couple of paddle courts, cricket field, futsal grounds, a jogging track, a multifunctional gym. The whole concept started in 2023. We got the land after a period of 5 years of perseverance to get the suitable place we wanted. And in about 6 to 8 months' time, we were functional in, September of 2023. A little over 2 years forward, we are right now the biggest brand in the country with 11 centers now in a matter of 2.5 years.
So I know that you have been instrumental in building infrastructure and pioneering Padel. You mentioned that as well, and some cricket fields and some others. So how did the thought process go when you choose which sports to include in your venues?
So I'll give you a little background before Total Sport. So before Legends Arena, Total Sports was in existence. My main business was into construction, that too specializing in making sports facilities across Pakistan. So we're still doing a lot of projects for the government, for the military, for universities, for schools. We make a lot of athletic tracks, futsal field, football fields, hockey stadium, cricket grounds, swimming pools. So our experience of constructing a facility is unparalleled in terms of constructing a structure. But the newest thing in integrating into the Total Sports and the Legend circuit was the facility management part. That is something very new to us, and we're still learning. We are in just over 2 years into the business, but with everybody's blessing, it's doing great.
That's great to hear, and great to know that you have this huge experience from the infrastructure part. But in terms of what sports to pick, I know Padel maybe isn't the biggest sport historically in Pakistan. So how come that you chose Padel as one of the sports for your venture?
So when the whole plan was being executed, Padel, in our feasibility, Padel was just an added feature. It was never meant to be something as the main circuit in the arena. We were heavily relying on our cage cricket ground and the futsal. That's something which is a mature market. Everybody knows how to play. And we actually thought that would be our cash cow when we go into operations. So initially in our design, we had slotted in 3 paddle courts. And then we were a little like, okay, let's reduce it down to 2. Let's see what happens. So as soon as it's kicked off, I mean, our futsal and cricket did kick off, but paddle from day one, oh my God, it was out of proportion. I mean, we expected some footfall, but we did not know that it would become an obsession in the country. So 2 paddle courts. There was a time when our two paddle courts were booked for 24 hours.
Yeah, it was. I live in Sweden, and it was a huge hype here, specifically during COVID. And I know that the sport has now moved to the US as well, and they are doing a big push there. And now you're saying also that it's a huge interest in Pakistan, so that's great to hear. So why do you think that this sport is so attractive also in Pakistan?
A couple of things. One is that we have a very good racket sport background, not particularly in tennis, but we have a huge jewel in our squash bag. I mean, we've produced some of the greats of squash players, which includes Jahangir Khan, who's our chairman of the company as well. And what the word legend is basically based on his achievement. So, if a little background of Jahangir Khan is he's one of the biggest squash legends ever to ever play the game, and he has a record of not losing a game for 555 matches. So, being a racket sport country, we knew it would be a good mix. But as I told you before, we did not know that it would just take such a big boost. Secondly, as you know, I mean, it's easy to learn, difficult to master sort of a sport. So any age group is able to get a hang of the game. I mean, myself being a tennis player, I've beaten paddle players who've been playing for past 6 months just because I played tennis all my life. So better hand-eye coordination. And then that social impact also gives it a big boost. So now the whole dynamics of paddle in the country has changed completely.
That's great to hear. You have grown rapidly. You mentioned you introduced the first paddle courts in Pakistan. During this time, what have been the hardest operational hurdles that you've had?
Initially, the operational hurdles was, I mean, Pakistan being heavily relying on human resources rather than technology. So we did the same thing initially. We started taking bookings on Access. And in the first 2 days, we realized this will not work. We had sold slots to 5 different people on the same time. And then we went on our search of getting a good booking module. So the technology part actually was something which should have come on day one. It came after a few months. So that part of the operation side was a hassle. And then we tested a few softwares. We weren't happy with it, switching, swapping. Eventually, we ended up having a booking management system, which is now in its full optimization stage. So we're happy now. But the booking element was the struggling part for us.
I understand that. And there are some booking companies like Playtomic, Matcheye, there are some, but great that you found something that works for you guys.
Yeah, we actually started with a co-work sharing space software called SCADA, and it actually worked really well. Initially, we did that, but then we eventually shifted to a platform called Play by Point, based from US. A pretty good system. We are happy.
Except for the paddle, you mentioned also you have court cricket and gym and some other things. So how are you managing the different sports and at the facility and different interests and different clientele, perhaps?
Cage cricket arenas, and then we had 4 futsal fields and a multi-purpose court. But since paddle was showing us a lot of growth, we had to shut down our cricket fields. And now the facility has, instead of 2 paddle court, it has now 10. So now we are with 10 paddle courts in our biggest facility with 4 futsal fields, a multi-purpose HDR gym, along with an indoor children's play area. So what we have actually done is that we've made it a place from ages from, say, 3 till whenever you can play, say, till the age of 70, you can play the sport, any sport. So it's become a place in which a person, if they're not even doing anything, it's just the vibe of the place that people come in and have fun. I mean, we if I tell you, we have a footfall of over 1,000 people a day. On weekends, it goes up to 2,000 as well. So it's a place to be, and we take pride on the fact that because of us, we've actually given birth to a whole industry in the country.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely pioneering Padel, and it's so interesting to see that Padel could outperform cricket in this case, that you started with 2 courts and now you have 10 and you had to shut down cricket. That's not something you would expect a couple of years ago in Pakistan.
Yeah, so paddle actually, I think it's still far away from our obsession of cricket. But the advantage of paddle is that if you want to play a game, you just need to call 3 people in and they're at your service in like 15 minutes. For cricket, you need to collect about 22 players, out of which 3 or 4 last moment say, "Oh, I can't make it today." So it's a hassle logistically arranging a cricket game compared to a paddle one.
Yeah, I understand that. But has there been any cultural challenges? You mentioned that there is a racket sport culture in Pakistan, but was there any cultural challenges to get paddle popular in the country?
Actually, no. So racket culture is still in a declining way in Pakistan. We have not produced a squash champion in a while. Our tennis is all the way that we've not have a top ranking player in the top 100 after one of our tennis legend Assam played a US Open a male doubles final. So racket sport is on a declining stage just because it's an expensive. All racket sports are in some way expensive to play. Cricket, football are not as expensive as a racket sport. You either have to have a club membership, the gear is expensive, the shoes are expensive, the racket is expensive. Since we are not a super rich country, so these elements do take a hit. Paddle, one of the reasons why paddle is now slowly going towards the masses. It's globally an elite sport still at the moment. It's also expensive to play. But what we have done is we've gotten some banking partners on board in terms of reducing the pricing on the hourly basis. So, for example, if we have about debit cards, the discounts can range from 50% to 10% off on your booking charge. So, for example, if you're charging, say, $30 an hour, so you eventually end up paying $15 if you have the correct bank card. So we've tried to make it economical for the masses to play the game. And that's what has actually given the sport a major hike because it's now accessible to more level of the population rather than just the elites.
Interesting. So you have tried to democratize the paddle in the country.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And you mentioned a little bit of partnership, sponsorship, but also the commercialization of the sports around. I know that you have partners with McDonald's and Coca-Cola for some events and stuff like that. So how are you working to bring in the partnerships, and are you strategic in which partnerships you choose?
Yeah. So initially, for the first 1 year, we made a lot of pitch decks to a lot of corporate companies, local, international, both. But as soon as the trend started to pick up, a lot of commercial corporate companies started showing interest. So at the current moment, all our 10 paddle courts are branded. I mean, all courts are branded by individual brands, and which include some international brands as well, such as Kia, Peugeot, these car manufacturers. And then we have Domino's as one of our brand sponsors as well. Uh, and they have been heavily, I mean, right now there's a waiting list of sponsors on the paddle court. As soon as we have a contract getting expired, we have a line of new sponsors lining up because it's it's hitting the exact target market they require. It's the younger age groups. I mean, the most paddle is played by the age from say 18 to the age bracket of 40. We've seen the most amount of demand in this age bracket, and that's what's driving all these corporates to invest just not on the branding front but on the tournament front. For example, we hosted the first international tournament of paddle in Pakistan. The first international, we attracted about 30 foreign players from across the country, across the world, and we had a global sponsor like McDonald's and Coca-Cola partnering up on that, and it had a good prize money on that as well. So yeah, I believe it's just the start, and it's not going to stop here.
Yeah, and how do you think that this event that you mentioned with big partners, prize money, broadcasting, how do you think that that can shift the perception of the sport locally in the country?
So, I mean, it's a perception. So the whole idea of getting an international tournament to be played in is so that our level of game also rises. So it's a simple concept. You need to play with better players to get better at the game. And, with all the negative vibes about Pakistan in terms of the security and all, this event actually opened doors to international players, just not on the paddle front, but on any sport. So it was a difficult task getting them in. But once they came in, they saw a different world because it's a completely different scenario from what you see usually on the media. So that gave us a really big boost. I mean, we had about 30 players coming in this time, but post that tournament, I have requests from so many players who refused to come before, but after seeing our broadcasting, after seeing how the event took place, after the feedback given by the players who had come in, they're like, anytime you have a next tournament coming in, we are for sure heading here. So it's good for the country as well. We take pride in the fact that we've also created a good name for our country. At the same time, we have opened doors for international players to come in, transfer their skills to our local players. We are having regular coaching clinics from international players in different clubs. We had a tournament last night, and one of a top-rated player, Paul Alsina from APPT, lost to our local players. So it's heading to the right direction.
That's great to hear. And because coaching, you mentioned, that's an important part in growing a sport to get the proper coaching early and also the grassroots. And just coaching can be difficult in the beginning. If it's a new sport, maybe you don't have that type of knowledge in coaches yet. So is it a challenge to get high skilled coaches in Pakistan right now?
Yeah. So the big challenge right now for our paddle skill development is the coaching part. As I told you before, most of our players are self-taught. Either they are squash players convert or tennis converts. And I mean, our teaching is basically off the internet. It's either YouTube's or Insta Reels against which we are replicating shots. And that's where we are struggling in terms of growing players at a faster rate. I mean, we are still getting better, but not in a structured way. So initially, most clubs, including us, started with short clinics, getting a Spanish coach in for a 7-day clinic. And eventually we realized this is not the way forward. I mean, you cannot learn a sport on a 7-day clinic. Because of that, we are working and putting in an effort of getting about 1 or 2 Spanish coaches play on the main centers placed on a 1-year contractual basis, for which we are rigorously looking out for coaches who are willing to come in, not just develop the players, but also develop our coaching staff so that that skill is transferred. And eventually we can grow at a faster rate. Because the infrastructure is here now. If I tell you that we have over 500 courts in Pakistan, so there is no shortage of paddle coaches. Now there is a shortage of skill, which is what we are working on. And this year, we will probably be getting these Spanish coaches in our main centers, developing our coaching staff, doing high performance camps, and also doing one-on-one coaching on a regular basis at a length so that the skill development is inbuilt, and then we could have a proper team in the next 4 or 5 years to represent the country or at the club level as well.
That's really interesting. Looking ahead now, you said coaching is one big part. How do you see your company growing? What's your vision in the next couple of years?
Yeah. So the vision initially was just to open one center, how we started. But seeing the massive growth and how well we have done, we have now 11 centers operational. 11th one being operational this month in our second biggest city, Lahore. This would be our first indoor facility with paddle courts. If I tell you in totality, we are controlling and running about 50 paddle courts. So that represents about 10% of the market size. And the growth is just not related to paddle. So what we're trying to create a whole ecosystem in a way that our main facilities are backed by a gym, a wellness center, a recovery zone, so that the whole cycle is just not about playing paddle. It's about playing paddle in a very structured manner, so that you don't burn out. If you burn out, you have a recovery center. So it's in a way we're trying to look at a bigger picture, just not making money out of the game. It's about creating I mean, for us, making an impact is a bigger thing than making money. So we are at a growth path, and in the next few years, eventually go international as well.
Yeah, and it's also like you're creating, not, as you said, not just to come play paddle and go home. You're creating more of a social place to come as well. That you're coming there and you have the gym, you have the paddle, you have the recovery. I don't know, maybe you have a cafe or something as well. But like more things for people to do there.
Yeah, yeah. We do have a cafe. We do have a cafe. We have a juice bar. We have a coffee bar. We have all sorts of comfort food available. We have physiotherapy at our centers. We have nutritionists placed at our centers. So we're trying to cover all the aspects of an healthy sportsman's life.
You mentioned that you have in the second biggest city as well, but is the plan to keep scaling even more?
It is. We're not stopping right now in terms of a growth trajectory. We are scaling just not on the paddle front, but we are scaling on our gym model is working really well. So wherever our paddle courts are going, we are scaling up with the gym. We have also targeted children's play zone, indoor controlled temperature controlled children play parks. We're going to be getting into some swimming pool arenas as well. So what paddle actually has done is it actually shown people who are not into sports that this is actually very essential in terms of your overall well-being. You need to be active in life. We have attracted people to play paddle who have not touched any sport in the last 15 years. And we've also given a lot of business to the doctors as well. At the same time, on a lighter note.
Pulled hamstring and so forth.
Yeah.
No, but that's actually, like, jokes aside, it covers also an important with the trend today among kids is that you sit down more, you're on iPads and screens, and that you're not moving as much. The spontaneous sports doesn't exist as much today as it used to be. So a center like yours then really proves that if someone hasn't played a sport for 10, 15 years, they can now come and play.
Yeah. And in terms of you spoke about the scaling part, we scaled up massively. I mean, if our model is compared to any international paddle club, we are probably at par in terms of the numbers, in terms of the revenue numbers, in terms of the footfall. I believe we are situated in the topmost category in terms of how bigger impact we have created in a country like Pakistan in terms of numbers. As I told you, our facility shut downs only for 2 hours a day. We are functional 22 hours a day. So we open at 6 a.m. We close down 4 a.m. the next day.
What's happening between 4 and 6?
The cleanup time.
I understand. It's really inspiring to see the quick growth that's been done in such a short time, and also to see the bigger picture, as we said, from a health perspective, and used to increase a new sport like paddle in the country.
True.
I'm also interested in your journey. So you mentioned that you have worked in construction and now in infrastructure. What is your story? How did you get into the sports industry?
I've been a very big sports enthusiast all my life. In my mind, I've been a very great cricketer, which I did not end up being. Never a good tennis player, but always I was average in every sport which I played. So that's something that is passion driven. I mean, there's this sort of a business can only be successful if the passion is there. So there's the whole concept of Legends. It's truly a passionate project which has gone out of proportion. Plus, the construction part is something which was inherited. We have a family business which does construction, and we shifted to a more sports specific zone just because I had the passion for the sport. Because by qualification, I'm not an engineer. So, but I thought, how would I bring in my skills into a business which I have to inherit? So, it's sports was something which fitted in well. We started with squash courts, moved on to tennis courts, then eventually to athletic tracks, to football fields, to hockey grounds, to swimming pool. To name any sports, we've executed the job using our international partners and collaboration. And hence, this shifted to a facility management because we were of the thought that a membership-based model in this day and age in which people don't have time to go to a club on a day or 2 day basis and end up paying heavy monthly fee or annual fee for a club membership. So we changed that concept by making it all pay as you play. So you can pay for a gym subscription on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. For paddle, you can pay on an hourly basis. For futsal, for jogging track, you can take a day pass. So we've shifted the concept of instead of buying an elite club membership, which can be worth thousands of dollars, you can pay as you want to play.
Yeah, that's interesting. And also, as you said, to read the market to see that maybe not everyone likes the subscription model, so then be able to offer something additional to that as well.
That's true. That's true. And with the club model, there's also disconnection of your social circle. So, for example, if I'm a member of a club and if I want to take my group of friends to play with me, they won't be allowed in a club which they have not take a subscription of. So with this model, you can have a big social network coming in. You can change your social network. You can play with different people day in, day out. Your connections get bigger. You get to meet more people. So I mean, paddle, as everybody says, the new golf. I mean, so many deals, business deals, or any sort of deals have been closed on the paddle court now.
Yeah, definitely. It's I'm a big fan of the sport, and it's just nice to see how it has grown globally. And as I mentioned, of course, Southern Europe and South America has been where it started, but now it's grown to North America, Europe, Asia. It's coming everywhere.
Yeah, because we as a country are very close to the Middle East. So Legends, where it's situated, it's city of Karachi. It's 1.5 hour away from Dubai. So whatever trends in the Middle East usually flows here. So Dubai saw a similar trend. I mean, but it took a number of years for Dubai to have about 700 courts, and we achieved that in 2 years. So we as a nation get on something. We make this as an obsession, and it's actually an obsession. The sport. I mean, no conversation in this country finishes without the word paddle.
That's amazing. So, with all of this experience that you have built up, what's some advice that you have for a young person who want to get into the sports industry?
Any person, it's any business, could be sports, paddle, or any business anybody wants to put in. It's about making an impact. I mean, my concept for any business which I have done is the impact needs to be there. You need to see your business, how that business can change. How can they inspire everybody socially? How can your business make a social impact to the community? That's something, and you need to create a legacy in terms of what you do. Because there's a concept that it's all businesses are motivated by money. Yes, it is, but I strongly believe it's just a byproduct. You need to have your reputation. You need to create that impact. That transfer of financial reimbursement follows only when if you can create an impact in the field you have started your business in.
I love that. Talal, thank you so much for taking the time to join the Sports Management Podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com, connect with me on LinkedIn, or follow the podcast on Instagram, X, and Facebook @SportsM Podcast.